Okay, I'm going to show you a video of Tucker Carlson, and he literally puts a rocket up Mike Huckabee's ass. They are discussing whether the Jews of today have a right to the land.
So this is a small population of people. They have connection to this land, historically, biblically.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense?
How do we know that?
Do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point. So how do we know that he has any connection to this land at all?
And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language, the Bible, the land.
His ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So on what basis does he have a right to be here?
Very much speaks the language. Well, he has fought for the land. His family has fought for the land.
You're dodging a very obvious question, which is, where does this right come from? And the reason it's meaningful is because there are a lot of people in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly in the West Bank, who, through genetic testing, we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans.
What Tucker is saying is that the Khazar dynasty in the Ukraine region, there was a mass conversion to Judaism. And these are the people today who claim they're from that land. You noticed how Netanyahu and all the other people in the Knesset, they all seem to have Eastern European ancestry. That's where it's come from. That's what Tucker is saying. But let's keep going.
Pre-Islam. We don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European. How does that work?
They're Jewish.
By what definition?
They're Jewish by their
But how do we know they have any connection
they're
to
Jewish
the Jews
by their
of the,
faith. They're
of the
Jewish
Bible?
by the connection to the language. Jewish.
The point Tucker here is saying Netanyahu is a very secular guy. He doesn't really believe in the practices. He doesn't believe in the Torah. So what makes him Jewish?
By the connection to the Torah.
But how do we know that Bibi, specifically Bibi's ancestors, ever lived here? How do we know that?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
How do we know if the Prime Minister of Israel's ancestors ever lived?
Maybe I could ask you, how do we know they didn't?
That's his defense. How do we know he didn't? That's how you know this guy is a fraud. Now they're going to talk about the genocide in Gaza. Let's see what he has to say.
Had been killed after October the 8th. Well, I say none of them. I'm glad Mohammed Sinwar was killed. I'm glad that some of those warriors, the people who masterminded and carried out the atrocities of October 7th.
14-year-old Hamas operatives, how do you feel about their deaths?
If they participated in that, then God help them. I'm telling you,
what does
Tucker,
that mean, God help
I don't know that they were 14 years. No, but I'm telling you that when someone commits the acts of atrocity and then they hold hostages, if these were your children being held hostage in Gaza, what would you do to get them out?
I wouldn't want to kill 14-year-olds. I'll tell you that.
Let me ask you something. Would you do whatever it took to get your kids back if they were being tortured, raped, starved,
I would
and
not
beaten?
kill children, period.
I would think that, but you are bound by international law. Why is this Muppet being ignorant on purpose?
Well, I'm just telling you.
And I would never make excuses for killing children either.
And I'm not talking about targeting children. I'm talking about...
You told me that 14-year-olds deserve to die because they were working for Hamas.
I'm telling you...
My question is, can you hear yourself?
I do hear myself.
So do you think a 14-year-old child has agency? Do you think that he deserves to die because he's being used by adults? Isn't his death a crushing tragedy?
If he's holding a gun and he's pointing it at someone who's trying to save a hostage, and the only way to save that hostage, I'm telling you, war is a horrible thing.
Look at what he's talking about there, the collateral damage. What he's saying is if you have a target and you need to get him, you can level the whole building. You can kill anyone who's nearby. That's just war. Okay, well, October 7th, they went after the IDF. Okay, that's just war. We're using your logic. What a muppet this guy is.
Horrible thing. And a lot of innocent people
I think I'm the one
die.
who thinks war is a horrible thing.
No. I think what you don't
I'm trying to explain how horrible it is, and you're saying that the 14-year-old deserved to die.
Now Huckabee is going to claim that the IDF is incredibly humane. Have a look at his bollocks.
Ended up with fewer civilian deaths in an urban war than any urban war of record.
You said you didn't know how many civilian deaths there were, so how can you say that?
If you took Gaza's numbers, Hamas's numbers.
You said you don't know what the numbers are.
We don't.
You just told me that. Then how can you say it's a lower number?
But if you took the numbers that they reported, which is like 50,000, 24, 25,000 of those were actual warriors. How many civilians? If you took all of their numbers,
range from 120 to 78. Those are the ones I just read. I don't know if that's real. I don't know either. I'm asking you.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, those numbers I've not heard, have not read. The numbers that I think are more reportable are somewhere in the 60,000 range.
Where do those come from?
From the Gaza Health Ministry,
but
which
you
is
said those
Hamas.
were invalid numbers.
I think they are. I don't think that they're accurate, but I'm saying,
You see there? When first they said we don't believe the numbers because they're coming from Hamas, but when it suits their agenda, then they do believe the numbers.
They're inaccurate, but they prove that Israel's doing a great job.
Let's assume that the most widespread numbers, the largest numbers that have been reported out of Gaza by Hamas,
yes,
let's assume they're true. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they are true, but assume they're true. Let's just take them at their word. Then you still have a lower number of civilians killed than in any urban warfare environment in modern history. Fact.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
What are you comparing it to?
To any urban warfare.
Name one.
Iraq.
Where in
Afghanistan?
Iraq? Where in Iraq? Where in Afghanistan? There aren't many urban areas in Afghanistan. I don't think there was any fighting in urban areas in Afghanistan.
Kabul?
I don't know. Were there pitched battles in Kabul over long periods of time? I don't.
20 years.
In Kabul? I don't.
Throughout all of that.
This absolute moron of a human being. In fact, have a look at what he said about Iraq.
For 9/11. So what was the actual reason?
Well, that's the U.S. government told us it was for 9/11. They told us that they were part of it, that they had weapons of mass destruction.
But they knew they had nothing to do with 9/11, obviously. There's no evidence.
But
so what was the actual
Israel
reason?
was not in that component.
But Israel had no influence on our decision to invade Iraq. That's not what the people who made the decision say. They say Israel.
Well, let me get back to the point.
Gave us that information.
Why was Bibi in Congress begging for the war?
About the fake weapons of mass destruction. What do you think that came from?
Was,
it came from Bibi.
How many Americans put their boots on the ground for Israel? The answer is zero.
Everybody who served in Iraq put their boots on the ground for Israel.
Yes, and how many IDF put their boots in? How much IDF soldiers were in Iraq? None.
Did not.
Where did we get the information about the weapons of mass destruction that wasn't real?
We didn't get that from. You're saying we got that from Israel? That Israel was one pushed us into that?
Well, absolutely.
You really believe that?
I know that for a fact. And so does Yes, this has been widely written about and discussed. And I'm not attacking Israel. Like, they thought it was in their interest to take out a government that was paying the families of suicide bombers. I get it. I'm not mad at Israel about that. I never have been. I'm mad at the Bush administration and all the people who went along with this to the detriment of my country. That's who I'm mad at, not Israel. Bibi's doing what he can for his country, whether you agree with him or not.
Yes, that's an excellent point. What he's saying is, look, a Zionist is going to do what a Zionist does. I'm mad at my country for going along with it. Mike Huckabee and his ilk in the United States are the worst human beings. Let me know your thoughts.